certified. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a roll call, please, Omar.
Sure. Councilmember Corsair. Councilmember Menon.
Here.
Councilmember Michaels.
Present.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Here.
Councilmember Park. Councilmember Rolary. Mayor Zena.
Here. Okay, first thing on the agenda is a presentation by the Northern Valley Greenway team is going to give us an update. Step up to the microphone, Andrew, and tell us your name.
Andrew McCash, 50 Sherwood Road.
Not your address anymore.
No?
But
No.
you can give it. It's just not illegal. It's not legal.
Oh, you can give it to us,
I'll
but you're
take
no
it
longer
back.
required to. All right, so you're going to talk to us about Northern Valley Greenway update.
Yes, Mayor.
Wonderful.
First of all, I wanted to thank the council and the mayor for support. I want to recognize our team members, Councilman Park, who has been a liaison, and Chad here, who has been a very supportive and amazing addition to the team. So between what? And solo, correct. We haven't said that yet publicly, but so the Northern Valley Greenway, and most of you have been there, so I'm going to skip a lot of the background information, kind of focus where we are, what the challenges are, and where we're going. Very quickly, what is the Northern Valley Greenway? The 7.5-mile stretch of unused railroad line that would like to convert it to look like just like this. Exactly like this. And then hopefully in time, we'll get connected to Overpeck Park and other places, so that there is a lot of other things going on around this part of the county when it comes to what they call active transportation initiative, which is anything that's not motorized transportation, biking, running, walking, anything that rolls or crawls or whatever, that there is also going on. I'll touch those very briefly. I assume you guys have the handouts, so I'm not gonna.
Yes, we have this.
So very briefly, the Northern Valley Greenway is a interlocal municipal team. It was started as a Rotarian service project. It still is. And then the 6 towns along the Greenway within 6 weeks, I believe, 8 at the most, passed the exact same resolution with the same language, authorizing the Greenway. Thank you. Currently, the Northern Valley Greenway Planning Committee has a representative from Bergen County, Adam Strobel, who's kept in what's going on. We have at least one, sometimes have mayoral appointees as the municipal representatives and a council liaison, just like any other municipal type team, committee, whatever. Future vision, that picture over there. We have maintained amazing community support. I'm not going to go through all that, but just let's say that that's a picture where we have the county exec, District 37, District 39, mayors, planners, all types of people, holding hands at the kickoff meeting. So that has an amazing support. Very early on, we had a New Jersey DOT technical planning assistance study, which kind of kickstarted the project. No fatal flaws. Define the objectives and options and the real map for going forward. To me, the biggest significant finding is that it's not one uniform piece of property for 7.5 miles. The width changes. From 30 feet to 65, 75, depending on the location. So there is no one model that fits all thing. We'll have to design and adapt each linear foot of the greenway as we go along. So they define some design alternatives. The alternative always comes up railroad trail, not an option. It does not meet the federal standards to accommodate it, according to the state sponsored study. So how could the greenway be done? It's probably going to be an interlocal agency or partnerships with a regional state agency. Transaction support usually from a land conservancy, like the Open Space Institute or some other similar land conservancy. Funding will be federal state programs, with some hopefully private equity and other matching grants years along the way. One of the biggest challenges is that public funding is very limited for any initiative like this in a pre-transaction planning activity. So all layers of government say, if you're just planning, but you don't have access to the land, or you don't actually have possession of the land, there's no funding for you. So we've been struggling with that a little bit. CSX repeatedly stated they will not allow rail with trail. So even if you didn't have the issue of not meeting the federal guidelines, CSX just said no. That is not an option. We have a lot of reach. We can easily reach 10,000 people. This past weekend we just got another five. Organizations reached out to us along the greenway, potential greenway, interested in working with us. We attend public events. We have constant contact, Facebook, website. And I mentioned earlier about transportation activities that are going on in as part of the county. New Jersey DOT, I don't know how many of you guys know, have a Route 9W bike pedestrian improvement initiative. With Mayors in us help, participated in some of those meetings, and put some input into it. We have good relationship with North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority and things like that. There are lots of advocacy groups, and there's also a New York Metropolitan Transportation funding for a Palisades multi-use path study to connect two bridges. And that's looking at a regional view of the world. And instead of just looking at BIP, they now included the Northern Valley Greenway as part of their scope. So we got them to increase that, to expand their scope. I'm not going to go into accomplishments. You guys can read that. We're very proud of every one of them. All in the past. Let's see what we can do going forward. We lost the last couple of years waiting for a small project called New Jersey Transit's Hudson Urban Light Rail Expansion Project. CSX has been hesitant to engage us because the exact boundary between the light rail expansion and the Northern Valley Greenway, they felt needed to be defined. As some of you know, last year, New Jersey Transit were told by the feds that they have to redo their environmental impact statement and lots of other things. So that is a couple of really nice years worth of delay. The team made a decision. We are not waiting any longer for that. We had some interactions with New Jersey Transit and others, and we decided to move ahead, giving them plenty of room to come up with whatever they want. So that is our current status. We are moving ahead. We have engaged the same group that got the SX going a couple of years ago. So they know how to do it. They know how to get funding, the transactions. We're going to be exploring ways of re-engaging CSX and moving forward with hopefully whatever it takes to get access to the and then planning and then funding. So the big news is we decided not to wait any longer. We are exploring ways of moving forward. And that's about it. If you have any questions, happy to answer. I think I met my 10 minutes.
Perfect timing.
I have
Perfect
some
timing.
information on the Route 9W project, from New Jersey DOT, the PIP multi-study project. We can come back at another time.
Well, anyone have any questions on the Greenway? On the Greenway? Questions?
Have you heard anything in mayor conversations with the county, the state, great relationships, the Blue Acres stuff, all that. We got the money from Tenafly. Is anyone talking about this?
There's conversations going on. I think it's fair to say there's discussions going on between CSX, the county, different groups. I think it's fair to say nothing solid.
Correct.
Nothing solid to actually.
And there's nothing that the county or state or federal.
Right. Yeah, it's money. It's money. Big dollars.
But so far, everybody's okay.
Right, everyone loves the idea. Everyone loves the idea. No one wants the money.
Right.
No one wants to put their hand in the pocket.
I think it's somebody at the blink. We're pushing all sides to come to the table. That's really where we are. So there is no further answer than that. Now, but the good news is instead of just waiting, we are now moving.
Good, thank you. Thank you for driving this.
All right.
Well,
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate your
Chad.
time.
Thank you, Chad.
And next time we'll talk
Thank
about,
you.
the 9W project. Once we're a little further up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, to be considered. If no one objects, I'd like to move the police chief of Leroy Street to the first item. Unless you want to sit and listen to all the other things we talked about.
It says he's a very zen, like,
I'm still exhausted from last night.
I think he led with no.
Thank you, Chief, for being here. Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely.
What the chief says is twice. What the chief says is twice.
Yeah.
He needs to
We're trying to fix the echo.
Him and Lou Derrick.
Mentioned this you in the past, but we have a device. It's a nondescript black box that we will put out. It attaches to usually a utility pole, and it through the box itself, it counts cars and measures speeds. And we've had it for many years, and we had deployed this prior to summertime, because I was concerned that the summertime numbers would provide a false read, because obviously people are away. But we did this when obviously it was before the summer break and it was normal rush hour traffic. And the tables are there also too on your in the handout. And while yes, there always are those outliers that you do get people that are speeding, it gives you the averages. And for direction 1, direction 2, and it shows, obviously the average speed is 27.26, 85th percentile was 32 and 31. So this is not really any different than a lot of our other streets in town. It's probably almost the same. Now, we did have the highest recorded speed range of 65 miles an hour. I'm pretty confident that was probably a vehicle that we were probably pursuing. It's interesting, but some of our pursuits that with stolen vehicles, things like that, these criminals are using Waze and Google Maps, and it's taking them on some of these routes, and that's probably someone's probably trying to run from us, but that's a very rare speed there. But the unfortunate reality is, people obviously complain about speeding, and we all do on our street. And then lots of times, those same people, when they drive to someone else's street, they do the same speed somewhere else. So these are the averages. This is what happens. It is a cut through street, but the speed data did not indicate something that it was problematic. In conjunction with the crash data, the speed data, and the numbers of vehicles, the traffic volumes, the engineering firm went to this. I did an in-person survey of the site, And in their report, they did not recommend the speed humps at this time, based upon the information that was provided. Also, too, if I could just add, so we have some information about the roadway widths, and I should have picked up in the beginning, and it seemed like it was a little wider than I thought. The numbers that were provided were actually right-of-way numbers. The right-of-way numbers actually are from the center line to the curb line and beyond onto people's properties. Actually, on my phone, but the width of Leroy Street by the school is 35 feet. Yeah, yeah. From where the road narrows from Downey down to Bliss, it's 30 feet, and Elkwood, it's 25 feet. Road it's narrow. It's narrow to begin with. And the 50 and the 60, I should have picked up on that right away, but that was just a right of way. And I think that you would have to use that information to find a width, because you have to subtract the right of ways, so then you get the road width. When it comes to the sidewalks, so this is a very long stretch of sidewalk, going from connecting the school down to Elkwood Terrace. There's elevation issues that was mentioned and recognized by Colliers Engineering and Hippola. He knew that right away. And then also too with this traffic engineering firm, something that recognized there's elevation issues, as mainly in the area of Downey, that would make construction of a sidewalk very, very difficult, because it would have to do with retaining walls and things like that. Also, too, we have a lot of properties that would be impacted here, that were tree removals, lawn ornament, and things like, and structures, and taking a lot of property. And in addition to that, it's such a long distance that I think they quoted somewhere between $750,000 and $1 million to construct a sidewalk. They felt it's something that they made a recommendation not to actually pursue.
How long is it? About 1,000 feet?
It's probably something, I think it's a little bit longer than that, but yes. I think it was like 1,100 possibly. So, however, obviously there are complaints or something. There has been some crash data there, there's a school nearby. And we do want to always try and make some improvements where we can. And in the traffic engineering world, there are traffic calming devices, and mechanisms. So in the report, what was recommended, and also too, the road was just recently paved. Prior to being paved, it had a double yellow line that went by the school area. That was not replaced. And I think that was about the only markings that were there. So in visiting the site with John Jarr from Rifle Engineering and myself, the reason I was involved, because I've been in the traffic bureau for so long, and I'm probably the most versed when it comes to traffic regulations and such. I want that double yellow line re-implemented, because obviously that, what it does, it establishes channelization. And we felt that creating a fog line there, which you've seen on certain streets, then also creates some channelization. And what that does is unconsciously, as you're driving down the road, and these lines, you're on top of these lines, they're supposed to be slowing you down. They're channelizing you, and there's a feeling of constriction. And what it does, it's supposed to basically slow you down. And this is why you have this is the same thing, same philosophy with cones and tapers and things like that. You go through construction zones. In addition to the fog line and double yellow lines, right now there is some painted stencil words in the road that say school crossing or school crossing ahead, whatever. We had recently purchased 25-mile-per-hour stencil that we can paint on certain roads. I'd like to add that also too in that area. That's just a matter of the road department actually getting the time to actually go out and paint it. And then also too, which I think, and I said this before in the past, which I think is very effective, is the radar speed signs.
Of course.
The radar speed signs, we actually have, I think it's 6 to 8 of them. We have them, they're on crates right now, and we have them ready to go in locations in town, and we're just waiting for the road department to install them. We were waiting for markouts. There's a backup on markouts because there's so much construction going on that you have to get a markout before you start hammering a post into the ground. So we're going to be putting these in different locations. Brightview made a recommendation that they felt that those devices would be effective here, which I believe also too, something. So between painted channelization, some more 25 mile per hour painted in the roadway, and the speed signs that will flash when you're going too fast, that will slow vehicles down as recommended, and I agree with that. And also too, I believe they are also calling for a new crosswalk painted there with the larger bars in it. I don't know if crossing the road there is the issue. I believe it's traversing the road is more of the concern, having a safe travel way. But with the road being so narrow, there's no room to make the road more narrow to create a sidewalk that's not there now. And there's elevation issues. We can't create the sidewalk now. Also, plus there's too much property to take. So this is what we've been provided with. I think it's sound. I think it's feasible. I think we could do this pretty quickly, with the exception of the radar speed signs, which we have to, I guess, find some funding for, if the council wishes to proceed with that.
The flashing beacons, do we have to purchase those? Do we have any in inventory?
At the crosswalk?
Yeah.
That would have to be purchased also too. That, I believe, is more secondary. I believe the concern is more walking along the road,
Right,
than actually crossing there. But I mean, the crosswalk, obviously, we could I think maybe do a two-part. But right now, we were looking to provide some traffic calming additions to the street to allow pedestrians to feel safer as they walk down the street.
questions from council members? Say that again, Dan.
So that would be the thermoplastic painting, which I don't have control over. I think that's in the road departments. So I don't want to speak out of turn.
We would get a vendor for it, and we're going to be doing some other striping in town, so we can see if we can piggyback that on. So I think that's an easy answer. Chief, I think you have old capital money that would fund the speed radar signs, or you don't have it.
I could check. I'm not sure.
But there would be additional monies that are available that, as we're going through the process of canceling out projects we appropriating, so we can look at that and come back to your next meeting.
Yeah, a pair of speed radar signs. I'm saying that out of wrong order. I think it's relatively around $3,000. Yeah.
What would, picking up on an old conversation topic, the idea of, like we did on Downey, of taking whatever 4 or 5 feet of the road and making a sidewalk there rather than having to deal with the elevation issues?
Well, so the road, other than by the school, which already has a sidewalk, the road is 30 feet wide and then goes down to 25 feet wide, which is narrow. It's narrow to begin with. To make it even more narrow would be problematic.
So can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Julie.
Okay.
Go ahead, Julie.
Hi. So, Chief, thank you for coming tonight. I just wanted to ask you, in what you've laid out, in your opinion, will this, if we take these other measures that are, not a sidewalk, will this assist with the neighbors in that area who are so concerned about the safety? Like, do you think this will make the difference?
I believe it's going to have a positive effect. I don't know how much, but again, the engineers, they are the professionals that create these rules, and they have research and studies behind it. That when you apply these mechanisms, this is what your expected results are going to be. So again, like I said, the theory of constriction, the channelization, that should feel people. It's almost kind of like a squeezing in kind of feel, and the WL lines keep people separated. Again, I always felt that the signs on the side of the road have a value, but I think sometimes they get lost. But things that we drive over, I think actually resonate a little bit more. So again, the stencil, the 25 mile per hour, we're trying to really drive that home. And I really think that the radar speed signs, I really do, they are effective. Not to get off topic, but like I said, we have 6 ready to go. We're putting 2 on East Clinton Avenue, putting 1 on West Clinton Avenue. We're trying to find a location on Piermont Road. And we're putting 2 down by Tenafly Road by Stillman School. And I'm confident.
I was going to say, I know at Stillman School they really work when the ones on the wheel.
So, and this is something, and I'm confident that they're going to work. And then as we see them work, is something we could look to purchase more in the future with your approval.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, and I apologize that I glanced over the one thing something that was probably one of the big asks was the speed humps, and they were not recommended based upon the information at this time, based upon
why.
And again, I had wanted to maybe get a temporary and something like, you know, I'm into trying new stuff. I said, let's try something. Let's see if it has a positive effect. I guess I'm dating myself, going back to some, the times when you could do that more freely. Very, very strict, and you need a road study and by an engineer actually before you implement them, because obviously they have to be a certain size and fit a certain calculation, and it's not so simple anymore. So the engineering firm did not recommend them at this time. So that's where we're at.
So I'm sorry, were you going to say something? So how long before we can implement the recommended changes and improvements there?
The painting we could do is, I mean, if we're going to move on, we need to move on before the weather gets cold, because obviously you want the pavement to be, not too cold. So if we can find the funding for that, we can move on that quickly.
I think we would be able to move on that, and it's available under cooperative or state contracts. We can just, issue a purchase position for it.
So is the council of the consensus that we would move forward with these recommended improvements?
Yep.
Julie, what do you think?
Absolutely, yes, thank you. And this doesn't mean that it's these measures. It doesn't mean, if you would just explain to everybody, this is something we're trying, but I'm sure that it's a conversation that's open, right? So if something doesn't work, then we continue to problem solve.
Start here, and we'll see what it achieves.
Okay.
Got you. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief?
Another topic for the chief. I spoke to some of my fellow council people. So obviously Washington, 2 potential issues that we've heard from residents and business owners. So the first, we all know, unfortunately, there's a epidemic of U-turns on Washington. I know we put up the cones. A couple of my council people were sitting having a coffee and literally saw 4 people in less than an hour make that U-turn.
The barrel, you mean, in the middle of the street we put up?
Yeah, they put
the barrel. The cones are actually in the areas on Park.
The whole sign says
right.
No U-turn.
Yes, right.
So I think it's, Dan and I were just talking about this, it's enforcement. It doesn't matter what rules we set in place if it's not going to get enforced.
We are enforcing it. We are addressing that. We are stopping cars. We're trying to educate them. And we just have a steady stream of people that are just oblivious. They're actually making the U-turn right next to the barrel that has the U-turn sign on it.
But so I'm, if we make $100 million fine, right? Maybe they'll listen. I don't, and obviously this is not my area of expertise, but is there something we feel that we should do? Obviously the chief's the boss on, okay, if they're willing to do it right in front of us, clearly, like, it's not safe, right? It's not safe for multiple cars. It's not safe for residents that are walking. Do you not think it's something, like, what's your recommendation?
The recommendation is that
Can we fine them? Can we?
We have, and we have been issuing summonses. It's a 3-point moving violation. You can't raise. It's a state statute. You can't raise the price of it. It's clearly marked. Something, and we're enforcing it, and we get people that just come down.
Should the mayor say something?
Yeah, I'm about to.
Message? Is it 50? I made a guess that the number the ones that we saw, a lot of out-of-state plates. So obviously the mayor's message is not going to help on those.
See, that's the issue. Something, and something I think a lot of people that we've been seeing doing it have New York tags. I'm not trying to pass the buck here, and it's good that we're getting, different people coming to town, but, and see, a U-turn is not illegal. You could do U-turns on most streets. You can't, yes, you can't do a U-turn, on a hill crest, on a curve where you have limited visibility within 500 feet, and you can't do it where it's signed and there's an ordinance. So we have, the WL has nothing to do with it. So we have it, so Washington, West Railroad Avenue, Hillside, and Highwood in our immediate downtown area, we have no U-turn restrictions. So it's not a matter of, because people can do it elsewhere, and I think they're just so focused on trying to find a parking spot that, something that's what's happening. Something now maybe the fact that we've improved the downtown, our traffic signals and the flow, maybe something people are going to get something, maybe, not be so inconvenient to drive around the street, something, because when we stop people and we want, like, just go around the block, something that's what you got to do. Oh, I'm sorry. But we do write summonses also too. There's a balance. It's an education campaign, whether we're verbally telling you not to do it, issuing you warnings, or issuing you summonses. But if the mayor wants to add it, something in his Friday message here and there, or something, and maybe we get a couple more barrels to really drive home the message. It's really more so Washington than the other streets.
Oh, no, it's Washington. And again, I think for 30, I'm making up this number. If you're vigilant for 30 days, 47 barrels, more summons.
Right.
We're gonna.
Yes.
Do we have any data on what time of the day most U-turns are being done? Like, can we tell that from ticket
Probably
data?
could, but it's
All hours?
Yeah, but I mean, it's mainly going to be in the middle of the day when people are shopping downtown or visiting downtown, and there's no parking spaces.
You obviously know what's best. My preference is if we could do some level of more enforcement.
Understood.
For 30 days.
Right.
I think so that's just one topic. Another but parallel topic is, again, feedback from residents and from business owners. And I think we've had conversations over the years. Currently on Washington, it's all 2-hour traffic.
It's
2-hour
parking.
parking.
Yes.
And again, whatever we decide, obviously it's enforcement. I would love for you to bring back a recommendation, because it's all about safety. And again, speaking to my fellow council people, I think there is a sense that possibly, if you thought it was safe and it could work, I'm making up a number, so don't take this number, but 4 spots. The whole idea is when people want to run into Osaka or the pizza shop or the deli, they just want to go right in and out 30 minutes. With the spots being 2 hours, there's not a lot of those 5-minute parking spots. Would it make sense professionally and safety-wise to have 4 30-minute parking spots in the middle of both sides, so two on each side, such that there at least is possibly an open spot, so when you run into the deli, you can just pick it up, or Shade Cheese, or the pizza place, or Osaka? Would that be a good idea, or is that something that is worth thinking about?
That's not an idea that comes from me. It comes from you folks. Something. I mean, that's not really a safety issue. That's more of a convenience issue.
I think his question is, does it make sense though?
And if you say it's safe, then obviously I can go to my fellow council people and agree on.
So we have. Last conversation we had was that we have a lot of salons in town, right? We have nail salons, we have hair salons, and those.
Take longer.
Right. See something. So yeah,
those
those processes take more than an hour. Something probably not 2 hours. Something. So and again, remember, downtown used to all be an hour. That's why I went to 2 hours. Not only for those reasons. So if you're telling me there's a lot of places, something that are congregated that are in and out, could that? Yeah, that could work. I mean, there's the enforcement. We have to be around there more to do it.
Of course.
But people will be like. If you have 2-hour parking and people are going to push it, they're probably going to do maybe 3. They're not going to go all day long. If it's a half-hour parking and we're busy and don't get around to it, they're probably not going to do an hour. They're going to do maybe 45 minutes. So there's probably a value in doing that, getting some more turnover, and maybe that can contribute to some less U-turns because people U-turning because
there's always going to be an open
those spots. Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
Maybe we talk about that. 2 spots on each side.
Right, and we can see,
Give it a
draw
shot.
line for the next meeting, whatever we as a council.
Let's put that to be considered. parking
Does that make
adjustments.
sense?
I guess the only thing that I would ask is, you don't have them, the stores that you would go in for 5 minutes in any, like, it's not like all in one place.
Right, spread out.
It's all spread out. So now,
But people,
are you going to do a 5-minute parking for each of the? No,
We
but
can take
for
a look
example,
at
like there's pizza on that side, there's pizza
Right,
on
that's why
this
you'd want
side,
to
there's, so, but I mean, the question, the question is whether we want to keep them all together or keep it, as something like that.
And yes.
Could do the ends on both sides.
I would,
That's possible,
honestly,
too.
I'm thinking more the
Yeah,
ends
that's what I'm thinking,
and
too.
together, something, so, because
Right.
if you're going to spread them out, then the signage has
That's
to
right.
get all, what starts and what ends, but if they're,
But it's also a question of, if you do a 5-minute or 10, whatever, 15-minute parking, the amount of time that somebody needs to get to into the store, and come back, and do
well,
whatever
so,
they need
so,
to get
and
done.
also too,
So
when,
maybe 30 minutes.
when we're talking about 15-minute parking, we're not writing,
I think we're talking 30 minutes.
okay. When we're talking 30-minute parking, we're probably not writing summonses at 31 minutes.
I know,
You know, but,
you don't want to get somebody in the situation where they need to take,
Right.
a
Right.
longer time.
but the Miller's Bakery, picking up coffee, picking up flowers,
Right.
picking up pizza,
Agreed. Yeah.
half hour is enough. Yeah.
Can I have one more question?
Go ahead, Julie.
So I heard you say, Chief, regarding education and certain areas like the U-turn. I was wondering where we might be at with the four-way stop sign in the center now. It seems that we have a lot of people. I hear this from the businesses who are there, and they can observe it all day. I think a lot of people are still used to it as a two-way stop sign, and so people are just kind of blowing the stop sign, the four-way stop sign. So I was just wondering if there was possibly an opportunity for us to post some officers there, especially after school hours, things like that, where it's a little bit more dangerous for the kids to cross now. I just wanted to throw that out there because I am getting that feedback.
So is the feedback, they're just blowing through it, not stopping at all, or they're doing the Jersey roll and they're not coming to a full stop?
Honestly, I think there's a lot of blowing the stop sign. Yeah.
It's still new. That's why we have the additional stop signs out there, because we're really still trying to drive home the message. Now, the other 2 four-way stop signs that we have in town probably see the same activity, and we have a 3-way stop sign also too. And again, we do stop people. There's a little bit of complacency going on, but going back to that, now I try to get out of the office a lot. I drive through there, and I'm seeing people stop. I'm seeing people stop, and it's like, no, you go. People are trying to figure out. So I think it's being effective, but I will pass that what was passed on to you onto the troops.
Thank you.
My own experience is whenever I get there, there is a lot more consideration. Yeah, you have the occasional, somebody did cut in front of me type of thing, but I think generally it's been more effective. So,
I've been stopping.
I've been.
We hope you don't stop.
Thank you. So please thank the
Well,
whole team.
he's not leaving yet.
Yes.
But you want to thank him? Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
You can never thank them.
All right.
Yes.
Piermont Road Improvement Project update.
So this is the chief at, first let me talk that the timing on the lights has been completed as of last week. Traffic engineer has reported back that it was working.
Good.
As he had.
I think it's working a lot.
It was lovely when I drove through yesterday.
Good.
Last week
I'm
I
happy
did-
to see
I did it
that.
A bunch of times, people are giving me looks because I look like I just.
You got a lot of
did
free
survey
time
like
on your
they did
hand.
in Parliament, but it was way better.
I think it's actually benefiting.
It's
So,
huge.
and do you want me to go now or no?
Well, what I was going to say,
Okay, I don't wanna take your thunder.
beyond that, the chief had made a recommendation that we take those large planters in the middle of the island where the new bus stop is, and put them where the temporary blockades are to make it look better.
It's more attractive. Okay.
We could
Yeah.
probably get that accomplished if we approve it. We could probably get it accomplished before Fall Fest.
If we could just go back to the traffic lights and I'll touch that. So the traffic lights, so I think there's a dramatic improvement. I just want to anyone listening at home or in the audience, the timing change should have been done right when we closed the parking lots, the roads. It was an unfortunate death in the vendor that was supposed to do the light timing, and that company was crippled. And for those reasons, I guess we can't complain. You know, something that's what created the delay. But we finally did get the timings done 2 weeks, 3 weeks after we closed the roads. They are cycling quicker. I think there's dramatic improvement. I'm happy to see that you're experiencing that. I'm experiencing that also too. I do think that County Road. Now, the beauty of technology is, you know, the old traffic signals went on a wheel and you had 60 seconds, 90 seconds to deal with it, and that was it. Now they're computerized and you can put programs in them. So you can give more time at different times of the day. I think there's a room for a little bit of tweaking, maybe in the morning of rush hour going south. But now that the project is done, Gen Electric, who is our regular contracted vendor for the town, they can do that at a later time so we can make these tweaks. So it's already been improved, and I think there might be a little bit of room for a little more improvement, but we have some flexibility there. Getting back to the barricades, they're very effective. You needed to put them up in the beginning because you had to drive home the message so that the road is closed and there's no outlet. It looks like an I-95 construction zone right now. To me, it's very unsightly. I don't live in town, but I am concerned about the aesthetics here, and I want it to look like a pretty town. I think we're at a time where people know the road is closed and the message has been delivered. And we have these really nice planters that are on the island by the bus stop. And I think someone had mentioned that possibly the town was looking to get new planters or whatever. But I think the ones that right now, I mean, they would obviously be effective to put in the road to prevent a vehicle from going the wrong way. And I think it's something we know there's enough to put on probably both sections, and it would establish the closed road, and it would look a lot nicer. And I think it would serve the purpose of what we need. Go ahead.
You don't need any sort of reflective markings on them, like the barricades are reflective or anything.
So here's the thing. So they were one ways to begin with. So no one was ever coming the other way. So I'm not so concerned about that. It's more if they're in the parking lots, but people are going to be in parking lots, which is basically very low speed now. It's not like it's a road they're driving to something. So I am going to double check with the traffic engineers on what we would need on this side. It'll be more aesthetic on the other side, because right now, when you know the intersection, you just see these big orange barricades, road closed. Well, you couldn't get in there anyway. It was more, but it's just it's loud. And it's screaming, and I think it's something we've educated the public. I think it's now time to transition to something that's basically more aesthetic, and will serve the purpose of keeping the road closed.
Okay.
Thank you to the whole team. This has been huge.
You guys have been great too. You know, something your direction also too. So I think the downtown is definitely shaping up.
When are you going to make those changes?
With the planters?
Yeah.
If I could get into Caterpillar machine and do it myself, I would love to.
I know.
My buddy, Mike Cassidy, I'm not sure he's listening here, but I know he's severely understaffed and he's doing the best he can, and I'm throwing a lot at him. They're doing a great job, but it's leaf season, so. But you had put up Fall Fest, which is when? What day is that again?
Sunday, October 20th.
What was it?
October 20th.
So before then.
Okay.
The only issue is that, and I'm thinking that you could use that payloader to lift, move them. They might have to be, empty before we can move them. I don't know. But that's the only thing.
They have to be in.
I don't know because the structural integrity of them, I don't know.
Michael know what to do.
Right. That's his avenue, his vein. Yes.
Is the chief done?
Yes.
Dude, one other little piece, and then I'm out of here. The tiger cage,
Yes.
the parking lot next to it. It's if you remember, the tiger cage is sitting on top of where a larger parking lot was. So basically, it's Borough Lot R, the parking lot. There's a very little piece that's like an L. It's like a free for all, and there's like no direction. I know Jamie Cannon was looking for possibly to be resurfaced. I don't think it needs to be done right away, but it does need some markings and maybe maybe next year or something, just to put on your radar or something, but there's room for improvement over there because people are using it. And there's also a 3-hour parking restriction there, which I don't think is needed anymore because what are the time slots for the Tiger Cage now? Is there time slots?
So we had a conversation today. The state is requesting shovel-ready projects for grant money. In other words, there's grant money available for shovel-ready projects. We found out today, we received a phone call, and the Tiger Cage parking lot is one of the shovel-ready projects that we're looking at to include.
Okay.
I've been seeing more people walking in with dogs and stuff like that into the Tiger Cage. Is that something that
In the Tiger Cage?
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
This
Really?
was just yesterday, and then a couple of weeks.
And like
No,
letting the
that's not-
dogs
no.
run around?
Yeah, or kind of like training. It seemed like he was training the dog, you know.
So I'm going to say no, unless it's a service dog, and that's a whole slippery
No,
slope
no.
I don't want to go down. But
We'll keep an eye on for
your
that.
average dog, no, that's not permissible.
It's a big dog.
Did you have any questions? Yeah, you live on Leroy, right? Do you have a question while the chief
Yeah,
is
come on.
here?
Come on.
We'll break with the public comment protocol for a second. Just give us your name. You don't need to give us your address anymore, please.
Hi, I'm Jenna Lipton. Been here before. First of all, I want to thank the council and the police and the administrator and everyone for putting this all together, for doing the safety study. I'm excited that we're trying something, but I was just walking on the street today, and now we have leaf piles, and the study actually doesn't take into account Bliss to East Hudson. It wasn't. I know you mentioned it, but it wasn't in the study, so I don't know if that was part of what they were doing, because that's like that really narrow part.
Yes.
And you're now
Yes.
a picture, but this is just a picture coming from Englewood. You can pass it around. You've definitely seen this picture.
Mhm.
But it's So when you're walking on Elkwood from Englewood, you get to East Hudson and you see a lovely "Welcome to Tenafly" sign, and then the sidewalk ends. So it really feels like, you're walking on this main street. It's the exact same street. It feels like that city cares about pedestrian safety and we don't. I know that that's not true. So and there's a blind corner right there. I saw people today, an older couple, jump onto the grass because they were in the middle of the street, because there were leaf piles and cars. So that's, it's still a concern. So I'm hoping that with the safety that's going to be coming, we can see how that goes. But it's a main walking street, and people walk there all the time. People would walk more if it was safer, if there was a sidewalk. I see people walking, their kids home from Smith, jumping onto the grass, turning onto Bliss. It is a place where we really could have a walkable neighborhood if that street had a sidewalk. And I know it's challenging with all the different aspects, but I guess we have to see. And I know that it says again that there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic, but again, there would be if it was really a walkable place, and people have to kind of go in different directions because of it.
I don't disagree. I mean, especially talking about Elkwood Terrace, which that's the most narrow area. That's 25-foot width. And for pedestrians, that's your concern, and rightfully so. And that's one thing. For vehicle traffic, actually, the more narrow the road, the slower the car goes, but that doesn't really help you because, for walking purposes. So.
I see kids, I see elderly people walking dogs. I mean, it's all the time. And I'm actually surprised that there weren't any pedestrian accidents. I think because people are just walking on people's grass, trying to avoid getting hit by a car. But
the majority of pedestrian hits that we have are at intersections, people crossing the road. What you're referring to, people are paralleling the road, which I'm not saying is any safer, but usually if the car sees someone, it's the turning is usually the issue that causes pedestrian crashes.
all right. So I have a large group of people who are very interested in this, so we're going to continue to work on this. So
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. Thanks for your time, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, chief, do we need anything else for the chief now? From the chief.
No.
Okay, then we have to go back to the planning board. All right, chief, I think you're done. Thank you for being
sir.
here.
Please thank the team.
All right, so let's go back to A, the planning board ordinance amendment recommendations.
There's a couple.
Right. We've got flagpoles, parking and loading facilities, and then the bulk regulations, right? Does anybody have questions about these, or
I was just,
Wendy, you want to
thinking-
give us a little summary? Go ahead, I'm
That's what I
sorry.
was gonna say.
Go
I
ahead.
was-
Oh, okay.
Well, I wasn't part of the planning board discussions, but as far as the accessory structure ordinance, the front yard parking ordinance, flagpole ordinance, those are, well, let's say the accessory structure, the flagpole ordinance, those are clarification ordinances so that people understand better when they're making their applications, what is required, what is allowed, what is not allowed. And so looks like it's really just from what they deal with at the planning board level, they're requesting to clarify it so that it's easier for them when the applications come in for people to understand.
Yeah, the flagpole situation arose over Bottle King situation, right? So that's why this is being clarified here, that it is an accessory structure.
And
Then you have the parking issue, off-street parking, and can't be within the front yard setback, unless you're in a single-family or a two-family home. Then it can't take any more than 30% of the front yard.
And again, I guess it's really looking to clarify what
Right.
that means.
And then-
The last one is the ordinance that was brought forth by the council to clarify an additional situation to allow for somebody with an existing garage to close it if they have repeated flooding and proof of that flooding.
I can explain that in detail.
Their recommendations.
Yeah. So what was happening was with the way the ordinance was originally written, you had to be below grade and then experience flooding. Okay. And then when the first person to apply for it, went to the building department, and the building department said, well, where the house is sitting, they are at grade, because grade in the planning board world is measured from where the house is sitting. So you can build, let's say it's zoned for 30 feet high, measured from the grade, right? It didn't consider that the street was actually 10 feet higher and you had a hill going down. So it was a clarification, like Wendy said, so that it's downhill from downslopes from the street.
So the planning board had requested 2 changes to that, the ordinance as we sent it over. One of them was, and I believe they had made this recommendation the first time the ordinance was made, to allow for another method of proof after insurance claim. I was not recommending that because this is a new ordinance. We want to make sure that somebody has had a loss type of event and isn't, for documentation purposes, the consensus was to just move forward with it as written originally. And I'm going to make that same recommendation again. And if problems arise where people are having flooding that for whatever reason may come forward that insurance claims cannot be made, that could always be addressed at a later time if you want to make a revision. But we're not looking to open a large can of worms.
Which is in your recommendation, is the way it's here, it's written.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And then the other thing was to add the word engineer after borough in another section, which I believe it was, upon review or approval of the borough, and they wanted to say the borough engineer. That's a clarification. You can put that. The borough obviously is going to rely on its professionals. But again, you may want to rely on more than just the engineer. So I would recommend leaving it as the borough and then leaving it to David and his team to figure out who needs to approve what.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the concern at the planning board was that by forcing somebody to have an insurance claim, it doesn't prevent the issue. So they wanted to make it preventative So that somebody wouldn't have to have the damage and
That
then.
wasn't the intent of the ordinance, though.
Uh-huh.
The intent of the ordinance is to help people who have damage, not to allow everybody to close up their garage.
No, no. So they were very clear on not that just, you can arbitrarily close the garage, but that, there needed to be some like, evaluation that there was impending, that there could be something, or maybe, the insurance company was not, that there was still damage, but the insurance company wasn't covering it.
Oh,
You know,
it doesn't, you can make a claim and not get covered, but you would still have made a claim.
So
You don't have to get a payment on it.
So you're saying that you would still insist on the claim, not necessarily on satisfaction of the claim.
Correct.
Correct.
So I'm going to read it just so for clarification. So proof shall be in the form of an insurance claim within the past 5 years from the day of the application for removal. And then it goes on to different. So that's it. It's just the claim.
Quite frankly, I'd be surprised if everybody does get payment on their claim because many insurance providers won't cover that absent flood insurance,
But
which we're not in the flood zone, most of us.
So you'd still have to go through the exercise of putting through a claim.
At the moment, it is what was originally decided in the drafting with the engineer and in the subcommittee. That's what seemed to be a good starting ground without opening Pandora's box, because you do require every residential unit to have off-street covered garage. And so while this is somewhat, it's not a pilot ordinance, right, because you've already instituted it, but it is something new and it can always be tweaked moving forward. But my recommendation was to start here and see if the need arises, just like when we realize that grade may be different from the street, it can always be amended if the need arises. But I would not recommend opening Pandora's box before you have anyone even come in on the original.
So you're saying send it back the same way?
No, I'm saying that you should move, it's up for second reading tonight. I'm saying that unless you all disagree, which you have the, obviously the right to, you're the council that's going to vote on this. If you would like to amend it, you can make that motion to amend when it comes up in the agenda instead of adoption as is. And it would get carried for another public hearing at the next meeting. But it is already advertised for second reading today if you want to move forward with the language as is.
That's what I'm saying. That's your recommendation.
My recommendation was to
Is
move
to
forward with
keep
the
it.
language as is, yes.
Okay. Any other questions about the ordinance, those recommendations? All right. So let's go to the Bergen County Community Development Block Grant, please.
So in your packet, there's the opportunity, deadline is December 20th. So it's just going for discussion. We should talk about some ideas. What the municipality can do is municipal infrastructure projects such as municipal road repaving, sewer and drainage improvements, playground and park upgrades, handicapped accessible curb cuts, and public building access upgrades.
Have we applied for this before? And have we won?
Yeah, so I think the latest, I believe, was the handicap bathrooms here at Borough Hall. And I think we've done some parks or playgrounds in the past as well.
It provides money, though, for drainage, like in storm
Water,
systems.
sewer and drainage improvements. So you probably have to have a specific area.
How about Walnut Street? Is it not Walnut? What's the street, Julie? You know, what street with the flooding?
Yeah, down
Off of
Walnut
Franklin
Park, right?
Yeah, right next
Not
to Walnut.
Lindley, is it? Oh, well,
Lindley.
yeah, Lindley, something like that.
Then maybe it is Walnut then. We got to check that out.
I think it's Walnut. Yeah,
The
it's
street that
Walnut
floods up there.
Street. Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. That's a big flood area.
We have to take a look
Yeah,
at that.
let's have Andy look at that area over there.
Bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah.
We have a ton of spots.
We could, right, but that one is also particularly underwater a lot, that area.
All right.
Let's
So
look at
we'll
that.
come up with a street and
Or a couple
price.
of have Andy come up with a couple of recommendations and bring it back to the
And then
council.
we have time because you basically will have, I think, 4 council meetings between now and
Okay.
But I do like where the mayor's head is at with this, with regards to it. In a way, this could supplement what we're doing with all the other flood work, right?
Well, yeah, that's right.
A piece of it.
Go ahead, Dan, you had a question?
I think, are you talking about where the apartments on Jefferson?
No, that's another location though,
Comes in and talks about
by the
that.
apartment buildings. Yeah, that's a second location there that we can bring up with Andy. He knows about it. Yeah.
Franklin.
Franklin Street, correct. All right, administrators report. Does anyone have any questions for David? Or David, anything you want to call out specifically?
No, I think it's, we covered a lot of the territory when the chief was here tonight.
Okay.
The Roosevelt Commons Sports Court, we should have that completed by October 18th. So there's a tentative plan to hold a ribbon cutting there on Tuesday, October 22nd at 6:30, which would precede the 7:30 p.m. Council meeting.
Perfect.
The electric vehicle charging stations are coming along. I don't have an exact date, but they are referencing that we should have one of them at least powered up in the next week or two.
And the work they have started physically work at the Grove Street Park.
Yes,
Right.
there's machines that were delivered there.
I know they were doing work there today.
And I have a meeting with the contractor and the engineer tomorrow.
Perfect. Okay. Public comments. Audience members wishing to speak will have a 3-minute time limit to address the governing body on any items on or off the agenda. Large groups are asked to have a spokesperson represent them. Would anyone in the chambers like to make any public comments? No? No one, Omar? Okay. Anyone online out in the Zoom there would like to make a public comment? Any hands, Omar?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, so we're going to close public comment, and we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Take care. Okay, could I get a motion, please, to approve resolutions R24-R20?
Sorry. The microsurfacing project, how many roads got done for that? Do you have any idea?
Which resolution?
440 microsurfacing project.
It's the change order.
Let me just take a look at that. You want to pull that out of the?
No, just curious, just.
That is.
When we approved it a few years back, it was supposed to cover a ton of roads.
Well, it's supposed to cover
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
for each year.
Hand on it on purpose.
It's 45,000.
This is a change order because
Yeah,
of
this
the
is a
price.
change order for.
Because the price went down.
From resolution R19-323. Change order resulted in a reduction in the scope or decreasing the contract by $71,752.
This is from 2019.
Yeah, I can get that information for you, Dan.
Susan, do you know please come up to the microphone. What is this, just an accounting for what happened?
It is an accounting. When we did our audit, we found that there was still an open encumbrance on the books. And when we reviewed it, we found that the contract was completed and that the scope of work had changed. So we made this resolution to reduce it and put the change order in that occurred at.
Okay, perfect. Do you happen to, sorry, go ahead.
So it should have been adopted in 2020, resolution.
This was an item that was outstanding that we
Okay,
came upon.
that we discovered.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, could I get a motion to approve resolution R24-425 through R24-453, please? Could I have a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Sure. Councilmember Minute,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. Four dash. Okay. All right, ordinance 24-29, garages constructed below grade amendment. Omar, could you please read the confirmation of publication of the ordinance and the title, please?
Sure. Ordinance number 24-29. It was published in the September 25th edition of the Record. It's an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 35 Land Development Regulations, new Section 35-804.4, location and improvement of required parking and loading facilities of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly, 2004.
I'd like to open the floor for public comment on ordinance 24-30 only. Anyone here in the chambers that would like to speak on this ordinance? It doesn't look like anyone's here, Omar. I will, okay, anyone online?
See no hands, Mayor.
All right, we're going to close public comment. Councilman Michaels, Council President Michaels, would you like to make the motion?
Yes, please. I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 24-29, and that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please conduct the roll call?
Sure. Councilmember Minute,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any old business? All right, moving on to the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of September 19th, the 2024 Mayor and Council meeting, and the October 1st, 2024 Mayor and Council meeting? Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone have anything for the good of the order or for upcoming council meeting, any upcoming meetings? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to new business. Introduction of ordinance. Introduction of ordinance 24-30, amending the sidewalk repair replacement fee. The Councilman Menon, would you like to make the motion, please?
Sure. I move to introduce on first reading ordinance 24-30 and set the hearing for October 22nd, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter.
Could I have a second, please? Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct the roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 24-30, an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Section 20-6, sidewalks of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly. Councilmember Minute,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to move on to committee reports. Councilman Michaels, Council President Michaels, do you have anything to report?
No, just a reminder again, Sunday, October 20th, 12 o'clock, we'll have our Tenafly Fall Festival. Big costume, big prizes for costumes, and yeah, it should be awesome in the Highland Park area. Sorry, Resco.
For the
Highland
Fest.
Highland Winters Resco. So in the Highland Park area, and then also just a huge thank you again. I'm really proud of the downtown stuff. It's awesome with the traffic lights. Appreciate all the beautification. I really appreciate DPW Director Cassidy and the chief. So please, if you can, please thank the whole team.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Menon, anything to report?
No, I think Don actually gave the senior center report last time, and I think that's nothing else on this Board of Adjustment. So,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Councilman Park. Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor.
So I don't have anything, I don't believe any of my committees met since our last meeting, but I did want to say one thing that arose at the last Environmental Commission, since it relates a little bit into earlier when you were talking about making, on your mayor's message, different reminders. The Environmental Commission, what came up last time was if we could remind people about trimming back their own hedges or brush. That because when they get overgrown, it causes people to walk into the street. Even if they don't have a sidewalk, people might not be aware that they are supposed to, there's some rules about it that I can email you again if you want to include them on your mayor's call. But it was something that came up about people should be reminded, especially if they're newer homeowners, just that they should be maintaining their own hedges to not be in the right of way as people are walking. I know it's a strange thing to bring up in committee report.
Okay, I just made a note of that to myself for this Friday's message, but feel free to send me an email also, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Not at all. And I want to thank you all for coming to the women's voting rights celebration. I thank you all for your support, and I think it was a great day. So thank you all.
And actually, just sorry, I apologize. Please, congratulations again to Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor. It was super awesome. This place was filled up. Not that it's super important, but the cookies were awesome. 2 different type of emblems. So congratulations, Dr. O'Connor, for putting together an amazing event.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So do you want to read the language to go into closed session?
Is Resolution R24-454 at a meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on October 8th, 2024. Be it resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12. The Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly are going into closed executive session to discuss the following matters: contract negotiations for a shared service agreement and borough property at Tenafly Swim Club. Action may be taken after the closed session. Minutes will be taken of the meeting and released to the public at the time that the matter is resolved.
Could I get a motion to go into closed? Could I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go inside.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
A motion to approve Resolution R24-455. It's a motion for Trank, Isabel, and Shanadian to review a shared services agreement contract.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Could I have a roll call, please, Omar?
Sure. Councilman Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor? Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Could I get a motion for R24-456, a resolution accepting the termination of the lease at the Tenafly Swim Club and authorizing an amount not to exceed $6,500 for pool winterization and maintenance?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Omar, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Could I get a motion to close?
So moved.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Omar.
Good night.